For centuries, they called him a sorcerer, not because he cast spells or summoned winds, but because he spoke to energy as if it were alive, sentient, breathing. He didn't need chants. His intention was his voice. He performed no rituals. His presence alone restructured reality. Everything he touched shifted, not because he controlled it, but because he resonated with it. His name was Kael. Though his story was erased, his imprint never faded. Only one title remained, inscribed in golden ink and sealed by fire: the last sorcerer. But he was not the last because no others remained. He was the last who dared to remember what the world had forgotten, that everything is energy, and one who knows this needs no more to command the outer world, only to master the frequency within. It is said this manuscript was hidden beneath the temple of Abalner, in a chamber carved for living wisdom. It had no doors. It opened only to the pure of field. For this was no ordinary book. It could not be read, it read you. And when one found it, the light did not come from the pages, but from the soul of the one who held it. This is not a text. It is a living current, an energetic map that reprograms your inner field with focused awareness. You need no tools, no talismans. Your mind, your breath, your feeling, these are your keys. This path cannot be walked with feet, only with presence. And if ever you have felt your light dimming, then this manuscript is not knowledge. It is fire, and it waits not to teach you, but to awaken what never truly left you. If something in these first few words stirred your soul, if your inner self whispered, "Yes, I remember this," then give this video a like right now. It's not just feedback, it's your vibration saying, "I'm aligned." And if you feel this space nurtures your truth, supports your awakening, and speaks your language beyond the mind, consider subscribing as a premium member. Not as a follower, but as a conscious supporter of this work. Your presence fuels the field. Your energy makes this possible. And together, we expand what cannot be explained, but only felt. Welcome to the legacy of Kael, the one who never died, but simply waited for you to remember. Welcome to the return of the last sorcerer. I am Kaël, and everything you are about to hear I didn't learn from books. I discovered it the night I watched my mother die. I was 10 years old, and we lived in a wooden house, in a valley where the silence was so thick you could feel it on your skin. The illness had come slowly, like a shapeless smoke. No one knew what it was. We only knew it was fading. That night, the wind beat against the windows as if trying to get in. The flame of the lamp flickered, and my mother's shadow danced on the wall as if her soul were about to be freed. She lay in her bed, so fragile she seemed made of paper. Her skin was pale, her lips barely moving, but she was still breathing. And I counted each inhalation as if they were the ticks of a clock running out of power. I sat beside her. I took his hand. It was warm, but slowly cooling. And then it happened. He didn't scream, he didn't flinch, he didn't resist. He simply exhaled as if his soul was slipping out of his body with a sweetness that was unearthly. It was the most deafening silence I've ever heard in my life. But something else happened. The air changed, not in temperature, but in consistency. It was as if the space had become dense, charged, alive. I felt a pressure in my chest, an invisible current coursing through me, as if I had no body, but only presence. It wasn't fear, it was certainty. It was her, or something of her that was no longer in the body, but was still there, and it touched me, not with its hands, but with its energy. I had no words to describe it, but my soul recognized it, and from that moment nothing was the same. I began to see the world differently. The trees spoke to me soundlessly. The animals looked at me with a wisdom I had never known before. People were no longer just bodies. They were walking vibrations, fields of moving emotion. Fear, love, anger, joy. I didn't understand it. I simply felt it. When someone lied, the air became tense. When someone cried in secret, I could feel their energy turning gray, like ash. And when someone spoke from the heart, there was light, not visible, but present, a kind of warmth that didn't burn, but healed. It was then that I knew. Energy speaks before you, and what you emit is stronger than what you say. My father thought I was losing my mind, and my teachers said it was imagination, but I knew what I had felt, what I still felt. So I kept quiet and observed. For years I observed, and I became a witness to the invisible. And while the world talked about logic, religion, or science, I felt that everything responded to something deeper. One day I read Bruce Lipton, who stated that our beliefs alter biology, and everything became clear. Another day I met Joe Dispenza. He said you could change your quantum field with elevated emotions, and what I felt finally found words. Then I discovered Grimoire talking about an invisible neural network that connects consciousness. And I knew I wasn't crazy. I was awake, only the world was still asleep. Death didn't take my mother away from me, it opened a door for me, and behind that door was everything. Energy, life, consciousness, fire, and that awakened me. I didn't choose to be a sorcerer, I chose not to remain asleep. And do you know what I discovered later? That everything that happens to you, you've already emitted before it happened. Your field creates before your mind. Before you know it, you've already felt it, and before you feel it, you've already perceived it. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are, in vibration. It doesn't matter if you say, I am abundant, if the frequency of fear of loss still lives within you. It doesn't matter if you repeat, I am love, if your field still bears the wound of abandonment. Energy doesn't respond to your affirmations, it responds to your coherence, and that's why you're here, because something within you also sensed that fire, that field, that vibration that wants to be heard again. You didn't come to learn, you came to remember. You didn't come to ask for power, you came to ignite it. When you tap into your energy, the world responds, and that's just the beginning. In the next chapter, you'll discover why everything, absolutely everything, is energy, and you'll begin to use that truth to stop reacting and start creating. Everything is energy, even you. You don't need faith. You just need to remember what it means to be alive when you're not disconnected. Everything in existence vibrates, not as a spiritual concept, but as a physical law, a truth confirmed by science and already known to the soul. But there's a big difference between knowing it with the mind and experiencing it with the body. I remember the first time I truly understood this. I'd spent entire days without speaking to anyone, isolated, without enough food, without distractions, only silence and the constant sensation that something was moving inside me, even though I wasn't moving. One night, as I lay on the dirt floor, I closed my eyes, and for the first time I didn't hear my thoughts. I heard something else. It was like a hum, a subtle current, as if the air between my cells was vibrating with a melody that had no sound. I felt it there, I was energy. I didn't have to imagine it, it was as real as my bones. It wasn't a cute idea, it was a palpable truth, something that shook me inside, as if I were rediscovering a part of myself that had lain dormant for centuries. From that moment, everything changed. As I walked in the forest, the leaves seemed to move to the rhythm of my breathing. When I touched the water touched me back, and when I got angry, the objects around me vibrated with tension, as if my field extended beyond my skin. I began to understand that reality isn't out there. Reality responds to your frequency. There's something no one told you when you were born. You are not a body possessing energy. You are energy expressing itself in the form of a body. Your skin is merely the visible boundary of an invisible field that surrounds you. That field expands or contracts according to your frequency. How you feel and vibrate all the time, even when you sleep, even when you doubt, even when you say you don't believe in anything. Your field vibrates, and what vibrates attracts, repels, transforms, or blocks. Joe Dispenza calls it the quantum field, a space of infinite possibilities that responds to your elevated emotions. When you feel deep gratitude, for example, your brainwaves harmonize, your heart becomes coherent, and your field expands. And when this happens, your reality changes. Bruce Lipton explains it from a biological perspective. Your environment, your thoughts, and your emotions can activate or deactivate your genes. You are not condemned by your DNA. You are the programmer of your biology when you learn to use your energy consciously. Jacobo Grimoire stated that the external world is merely a reflection of an internal field, that consciousness does not live in the brain, but permeates everything, like a living network that responds to intention. And then I asked myself a question that changed everything. What if you learned to direct that energy instead of letting it be directed by fear, the past, or pain? Because that's what we do most of the time. We think we are our emotions when they are merely vibrational signals. We react from old wounds when we could create from presence. We try to change reality by fighting when we could change it by vibrating differently. Imagine your energy as an antenna. Every thought, every frequency, every emotion, a signal, and the universe a gigantic network that translates what you emit into experiences, people, opportunities, or blocks. So you're not a victim, you're a transmitter. And if you're a transmitter, you're also a creator. Your field precedes you. You don't arrive somewhere silently, you arrive vibrating, and the place knows it, even if you don't say so. Your body has an energetic signature. Your words carry a charge. Your presence leaves a mark. The question isn't whether you are energy. That's already proven. The question is, what frequency are you transmitting when no one is watching? Because that's what creates your reality. And if that frequency can make you sick, it can heal you. If it can distance you, it can bring you closer. If it can block you, it can also open up paths for you. But repeating beautiful phrases isn't enough. Visualizing isn't enough. You have to feel it, vibrate it, embody it. Only when there's coherence between what you think, what you feel, and what you do does energy respond accurately. This is why many manifestations don't work, not because you lack power, but because you're vibrating one thing while affirming another. Life doesn't listen to you with your ears, it listens with its fields. And that's why you're here, because something inside you wants to vibrate with truth again, without masks, without fear, only living energy in action, in consciousness, in creation. You too are energy, and when you remember this, you stop asking permission and begin to shape your destiny. In the next chapter, you'll learn something essential. Your field vibrates before you do, and you'll discover how to recognize it, regulate it, and make it your true voice. Life doesn't react to what you say, but to what you vibrate before you speak. I once met an old blind man who lived alone on the top of a hill. No one dared approach. They said he was crazy, that he muttered strange things, that he could see the soul of anyone who looked at him. I approached anyway. I hadn't uttered a single word, and he already knew what was happening to me. You come with fear, but it's not the fear of the present, he said without looking at me. It's an ancient fear that doesn't belong to you, but you carry it as if it were your own. I remained silent, and then he added, "Keep calm, boy, I don't need to see your eyes. Your field has already told me everything." That sentence marked me forever. Your field has already told me everything because it's true. Before thinking, before acting, before deciding, your energy has already expressed itself. You don't need to speak to communicate. Your vibration does it first. It's like an invisible letter you leave in every space you inhabit, in every person you cross, in every decision you don't make but have already influenced. That's why sometimes you walk into a room and without anyone saying anything, you can feel tension, love, sadness, or chaos, and you don't know why, but you feel it because your body reads frequencies before reasons. When someone looks at you with hatred, you feel it. When someone sincerely hugs you, your nervous system also perceives vibrations all the time, even when you're not aware of it. Have you ever wondered why some people exhaust you without speaking? Or why others fill you with peace just by being close to you? It's not magic, it's energetic physics, it's resonance. Every human being has a unique vibrational field, an aura, a frequency, an emotional imprint. And that field isn't just around you. It is continuously emitting information, like an invisible transmitter. That vibration can say, "I'm available for love," or "I'm unworthy and I'm defending myself." "I trust myself," or "I feel invisible, so I exaggerate." "I'm at peace," or "I'm running away even though I seem calm." And the amazing thing is that your field speaks even when you don't know what you're really feeling, because the field doesn't respond to what you believe. It responds to what vibrates strongest within you. And often what vibrates strongest isn't the present, but the past. The fear you felt when you were abandoned, the shame you carried as a child, the anger you swallowed and never let go. All of that is still there, not as memories, but as frequencies. That's why you can repeat positive affirmations and continue to attract scarcity, because your field has already spoken before you, and life responds to that first signal. But here's the truth that changes everything. If your field vibrates before you, then you can learn to vibrate differently before the world reacts. Imagine being like a radio station where every emotion and thought tunes the signal you emit. If you're on the frequency of fear, the world responds with challenges, blocks, and rejections. If you're on the frequency of gratitude, the world opens up, cooperates, and synchronizes with you. It's not that life punishes or rewards you. Life resonates. And if this is true, then true power lies not in changing what happens, but in changing how you vibrate before it happens. You realize that you are more powerful than you've been taught. The practice begins like this. Before you act, before you react, before you ask, feel your field, still yourself, close your eyes, breathe slowly, and ask yourself honestly, what am I vibrating right now? Perhaps fear, perhaps mistrust, perhaps lack, or perhaps love, trust, and certainty. But when you recognize it, you can transform it, not with force, but with presence, because your field doesn't need you to command it, it needs you to listen to it. And when you do, reality begins to listen to you. Remember, your vibration always comes first. Your words, your actions, and your destiny only follow. In the next chapter, you'll discover how your body obeys that vibration and understand that your biology, your organs, and your symptoms are not errors but messages, responses to what your field already knew before you did. Your body doesn't betray you, it simply obeys you. There's a very common mistake we all make, believing our bodies are betraying us. When we get sick, when we feel anxious, when our hearts race for no apparent reason, we often say, something's wrong with me. But what if this isn't wrong? What if your body isn't failing, but responding with absolute precision to the vibration you've been emitting for years? I believed it too. For years I suffered from stomach pains. They did tests, blood tests, diets, and everything was normal. It's stress, they said, but no one explained why stress could be so harmful. Until one night, in total silence, I asked myself a question that changed my path forever. What if the body wasn't wrong? What if my body was simply telling me the truth I didn't want to hear? That was the breaking point, or rather, the reunion. I began to observe my symptoms not as enemies, but as coded messages. And I discovered that every part of the body spoke its own vibrational language. The throat, what we don't say; the chest, what we carry; the stomach, what we don't digest; the skin, what we want to hide; the back, the fears that weigh us down; the head, the never-ending war of thoughts. And do you know what else I discovered? That the body never lies, and that illness isn't punishment, it's communication. Bruce Lipton explains it from a biological perspective. Your emotions don't just influence your mood, they change your internal chemistry, and that chemistry modulates how your genes express themselves. Joe Dispenza went further. When you change your emotional state, your body begins to heal in real time because it no longer receives the same danger signals. Louise Hay, in her profound and simple work, said that every symptom has an unresolved emotional cause. And it's not superstition, it's a coherence between vibration, biology, and consciousness. Your body is like a wise child. It doesn't speak to you with words, it speaks to you with reactions. It doesn't argue, it doesn't get angry, it simply shows, it simply responds. And the more you ignore that vibration, the louder it screams. Sometimes with fatigue, sometimes with insomnia, sometimes with an illness that seems unrelated, but which arose in your energy field long before it appeared in your cells. Do you know when the body begins to heal? When you stop seeing it as a problem and start listening to it like a master. You don't need to become a doctor or memorize chakras or meridians. You need only vibrational honesty. Ask yourself real questions without masks. What am I not digesting in my life? What have I swallowed because I'm afraid to speak? What part of me is exhausting itself trying to please? Why do I keep saying yes when everything inside me screams no? The body responds to each of these decisions, not with judgment, but with precision. I didn't heal because I found a magic formula. It healed when I stopped fighting my body and started vibrating from forgiveness, gratitude, and truth. And when my field changed, my body simply obeyed the new signal, because that's what it has always done, obey you. You think the body has a will of its own, but the body simply follows what the field emits. Your fear contracts it, your anger inflames it, your sadness cools it, your gratitude relaxes it, your presence aligns it. You give the order, and the body simply follows it. So the next time you feel a symptom, don't ask, what's wrong? Ask yourself, what is my energy showing me through my body? And in that instant you will begin to heal. In the next chapter, you'll discover something even more profound. The intention you cast is the force that orders your reality. And you'll learn to use it not to control, but to create with invisible power. The universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to the energy with which you speak them. There was a woman in the village whom everyone respected, not for her wealth or beauty, but for something no one could name, but everyone could feel. She would enter a room and the atmosphere would change. Children would stop crying, arguments would fade, the air would soften. She never raised her voice, never demanded. She was simply present, and her presence commanded. I was just 14 when I dared to ask her, "Why does everyone listen to you if you barely speak?" She smiled as if she knew something I couldn't yet comprehend. "Because it's not what I say," she whispered. "It's the intention that precedes me." That word resonated within me for years. What was intention? An emotion, an idea, a desire? No, it was something deeper, more powerful, more subtle. It was vibrational direction. I discovered that desire is not the same as intention. Desire is lack in disguise. It's a cry that says, "I don't have it." Intention, on the other hand, is a silent frequency that says, "I'm already aligned with it." You desire from emptiness. You intend from coherence, and this changes your entire reality. Many have asked me, "Kael, how can I manifest what I desire?" And I always answer, stop wishing for it. Start planning for it, because desire, if not accompanied by a clear frequency, only amplifies the absence. Intention is not positive thought or intense emotion. It's a vibrational alignment between what you think, what you feel, and what you do. When these three elements are coherent, your field organizes and reality begins to respond like a perfect mirror. Have you ever felt something flow so easily it seemed miraculous? A precise encounter, an unexpected opportunity, an answer that came just when you needed it. That was your ordered field. That was your intention, vibrating before you. But when there's inconsistency, when you say yes but inside everything screams no, when you smile to please but are broken inside, when you ask for love but feel abandoned, then the energy becomes confused and the universe doesn't know how to respond because it doesn't hear your words, it hears your vibration. And your vibration always follows your real intention, not the one you pretend. I learned this the hard way, and I had to face my own internal deceptions. One day, while meditating on the mountain, I wanted to manifest something, peace. But inside I was filled with anger, frustration at not having achieved results, anxiety because I felt I was stuck. And then I understood. My intention wasn't peace, it was control in disguise. I wanted peace, but I wanted it to come my way, on my terms, in my time. And energy doesn't obey your ego, it obeys your truth. So I let go, I surrendered, and I let my intention become pure. Only the desire to be consistent with who I am, without resisting it. And in that moment, the field opened and the signals began to arrive. Not because I forced them, but because my vibration became clear. Remember this, energy responds to the deepest intention, not the most visible one. You don't need to shout your goals or repeat 1,000 affirmations. You just need to check, am I consistent with what I say I want? My body approves it, my emotions accompany it, my actions support it. And if the answer is yes, then your intention is already vibrating and the world is already listening. Intention is the first magical act. It's the silent spell. The field will obey, but first you must command your energy. Don't ask from the void, intend from certainty. Don't desire from necessity, vibrate from presence. And you'll see that you won't have to control anything because the universe doesn't need to be forced, it only needs clarity. Intention isn't about making something happen, it's about being so aligned that you can't prevent it from happening. In the next chapter, you'll discover the power of silence and how the emptiness you so fear can be the channel that activates your true energy. It's not noise that drains your energy, it's your resistance to silence. For years, I confused silence with emptiness. I thought silence was the absence of something, when in reality it was the presence of everything that had always been there, waiting for me to be silent. The external noise was easy to ignore, but the real challenge was facing the internal noise. My thoughts, my urges, my need to understand, control, anticipate, explain. All of this kept me isolated until one day I decided to climb the mountain alone, without books, without rituals, without words. Just me and the echo of what I had never allowed myself to hear. The first day was desperate. The silence was uncomfortable, my mind screamed, my body wanted to move, my ego demanded something, but I remained silent, still, and it was there, on the 19th day of the second day, that it happened. It wasn't a bolt of lightning, nor a vision, nor a voice from the sky. It was a presence, a gentle vibration, as if the air had become conscious. It didn't come from outside, it came from within. And then I understood. Silence isn't absence, it's a channel. When you become silent, the field organizes, low vibrations dissolve, trapped emotions emerge, and energy begins to speak. Joe Dispenza explains it clearly. Brainwaves change in deep silence, the body enters coherence, and the electromagnetic field organizes. But this isn't just science, it's living experience. In silence, it's not that you hear something new, it's that noise stops interrupting what was always there. What you call intuition, I call energetic memory, and it activates in silence. What you call peace, I call an interference-free field, and it manifests when you surrender. Do you know why we fear silence so much? Because in it, you can't distract yourself from yourself. You have to look within, you have to listen to your tremors, your impulses, your shadows. And that's why we escape, turn on music, seek out noise, opinions, screens. But energy doesn't need more stimulation, it needs more space. I discovered that the quieter I became inside, the stronger my field became. My presence became solid. People listened to me without me raising my voice. Animals approached, situations flowed effortlessly. But why? Because silence purifies intention, orders vibration, and activates power without needing to show it. The true sorcerer doesn't shout, doesn't impose, doesn't boast. He emits. And to emit with strength, you must first become one with silence. Want to start today? Try this. Sit without music, without your phone, without expectations. Just you, your breath, and the moment. Don't try to think of anything. It's impossible. Simply observe, let whatever appears appear without judgment, without escape, and feel. Your body will begin to vibrate differently, your thoughts will fade, and who you are will become clearer. Silence is not passivity, it is profound activation. It is the space where your energy reprograms, where intention takes shape without interference, where your field becomes orderly like a lake that finally calms and can reflect the sky. When you don't know what to do, be silent. When everything becomes confusing, be silent. When the world pushes you away, return to silence. Not as an escape, but as an access, because that's where your power lies. Not in the quantity of things you do, but in the quality of the field from which you do them. Remember this, what you can't hear when everything is ringing calls out to you in the silence. And that cry is not a threat, it's a call, a fire that awakens without words. In the next chapter, you'll discover how to use your voice as a vibrational command, because being silent isn't enough. When you speak again, you'll do so with an energy that creates reality. Don't speak to explain, speak to vibrate. Sometimes people ask me, Kael, do you use magic words? And I reply, yes, but each one is used not for its sound, but for its vibration. Before I learned to manipulate energy, I learned to listen to what people said when they weren't speaking, because we all say a lot with a field. But when the word comes, the vibration intensifies. Words are the crystal through which energy passes. And if the glass is dirty, the light distorts. If it's clean, the light is organized, projected, and directional. Words are one of the most powerful channels you possess, not because they sound beautiful, but because they charge your frequency, focus it, and direct it. This is what the ancients knew when they spoke of mantras, invocations, and chanted prayers. It wasn't superstition, it was applied vibration. Did you know that the heart has its own electromagnetic field and that this field changes according to the words you speak with emotion? Joe Dispenza explains this in his research. When your words are aligned with a heightened emotion like gratitude, compassion, or certainty, your field expands, becomes coherent, and reality simply responds. But if you say one thing and feel another, your energy gets confused, and so does the world. This is why many affirmations don't work, because they're not supported by emotion, because you say them from the mind, but the field doesn't believe them, it doesn't vibrate them. I learned this while talking to myself in the woods, uttering sentences I'd read, but nothing happened until one day I said a word without thinking, a simple word from the center of my chest, I am here. And the echo that returned wasn't a sound, it was a vibrational response. The air moved differently, the trees stopped creaking, everything quieted as if the world recognized that presence. The energy had responded, not because of the word, but because of the coherence with which I'd said it. From then on, I understood something fundamental. Your voice is an extension of your field. When you speak from fear, your voice transmits interference. When you speak from need, the energy contracts. But when you speak from presence, from the fire you've already recognized within yourself, your word becomes command. This is why truly wise people speak little, but when they do, things change. Because their word is not an opinion, it is a direct vibration. Do you want to start using your voice as a channel of power? Do this. Eliminate empty phrases, automatic complaints, unconscious repetitions. Breathe before you speak. Feel whether what you're about to say resonates with you or comes merely from your mind. Speak from emotional truth, not from mental habit. And when you want to create something with your words, do it as a command, not as a plea, not as an attempt, like someone who knows it already exists. This is why mantras work, because they are repeated not with doubt, but with certainty. And what matters is not the exact word, but the vibration from which you pronounce it. The word has weight, not for what it means, but for how it vibrates when you say it. And when that aligns, your voice becomes medicine, your word becomes reality, your sentence becomes a portal. I don't cast spells, I simply speak the truth with such presence that the world can no longer ignore it. And you can do the same. Stop using your voice to hide, to justify yourself, to bargain for your light. Use your voice to declare, to remember, to create conscious vibration. You don't have to shout, you have to vibrate clearly. Remember, what you say resonates beyond what is heard. And what vibrates, sooner or later, manifests. In the next chapter, you'll discover the ritual that requires no objects, what happens inside you, and how to transform every moment into a living energy ceremony. You don't need candles, you don't need quartz, incense, or altars. The most powerful ritual happens in silence and happens within you. I remember the day I destroyed all my sacred objects. I loved them. They'd accompanied me for years. Colored candles, amulets, symbols I collected from different cultures. They were beautiful and made me feel connected, but one day I felt dependent on them, as if without them I couldn't channel, heal, or emit. And then I understood. I was confused. It wasn't them that activated the power, it was my intention. That night, before the fire, I took every object and returned it to the earth. Not with anger, but with gratitude. I didn't need them because everything I was looking for outside was within me. True ritual isn't done with objects, it's done with vibrational presence. It's not what you do, it's where you do it. You can light 1,000 candles and nothing will change. Or you can close your eyes in silence and move the fabric of the universe with your coherent field. Do you know what the most powerful ritual there is? Breathing with intention. Sit down, close your eyes, place both hands on your chest and say internally, I am here with myself, present, available, true. And stay there without masks, without pretending, without forcing. Just you, the vibration of your body, and the rekindled inner fire. That is ritual. The ancients knew it. External rites were merely metaphors, physical representations of an act that took place in the invisible. The fire was not fire, it was transmutation. The water was not water, it was purification. The earth was not earth, it was the root of consciousness. And you were not a spectator, you were a channel. Today we confuse ritual with spectacle, with photos, with decorations, with fixed formulas. But energy doesn't need spectacle, it needs authenticity. And that only happens when the ritual isn't an isolated moment, but a way of life. Walking in presence, speaking with awareness, breathing from the soul, listening to the body, choosing what nourishes. All this is ritual. Do you want to perform a ritual now? Do this, total silence, turn everything off. Sit in an uninterrupted place, place your right hand on your heart and your left on your abdomen. Close your eyes and feel. Don't ask for anything, don't visualize, don't seek. Simply breathe. Inhale deeply. And with each exhalation, give up what you no longer need. And with each inhalation, receive what is already available. Do this 7 times and then remain silent. That moment is a complete vibrational act. It doesn't matter if you do it in front of an altar or sitting on your kitchen floor. If you do it truthfully, the universe senses it, because the ritual isn't the space, it's you. And when your entire life becomes an internal ritual, everything around you becomes sacred, not by magic, but by energetic coherence. So I stopped performing rituals to connect and began to live from the connection itself. I no longer needed to prepare my field. My field was the altar, my intention the fire, my word the offering, my presence the flame that never goes out. Remember, the universe doesn't respond to form, it responds to frequency. Make everything you do, drinking water, waking up, walking, loving, a ritual of living energy. And then you won't have to seek power. Power will recognize you. In the next chapter, you'll learn how to protect that energy, because once it's ignited, not everyone will know how to sustain its light, and you'll need to learn how to keep your field free from interference. Not everyone wants your light. Some are simply looking for a place to leave their shadow. For a long time, I thought true love could endure anything. I thought if I had a strong field, nothing could harm me, but I was wrong. Because having power doesn't mean exposing yourself without limits. Having light doesn't mean letting just anyone in. There are people who don't seek energy, they seek other people's energy, and if you don't learn to recognize this, your field becomes a house without doors, an altar without protection, a temple open to any vibration. And then you start to feel tired for no reason, confused for no reason, emotionally drained, without knowing why. It took me years to understand this. Until one day, after helping someone through their process, I collapsed without explanation, without strength, without focus, without fire. And it was then that I heard a phrase inside me that changed everything. Protecting your field is not selfishness, it is respect for your light. From then on, I began to observe, not with judgment, but with awareness. I observed who elevates my energy when it enters and who drains it when it remains, who respects my silence and who only seeks noise to distract themselves from their own, who provides a clean vibration and who only seeks a place to release what they cannot transmute. And I understood something essential. The field is protected by vibration, not by armor. You don't need to physically distance yourself from everyone. You need to learn to close the energetic door when necessary. And that is an art. The first step is to feel your field. When you are calm, when you breathe deeply, when you are alone, how does your energy feel? That's your baseline, your vibrational home. The second step is to recognize the interference. With whom your breathing shortens, with whom your stomach feels tense, with whom your mind fills with doubt. These aren't psychological signals, they're vibrational signals. And the third step is to declare limits. Not with anger, but with presence. You don't need to explain or justify or hurt, you just need to say, no, not now, not like this. And let your field close the door without resentment, but firmly. I learned that the true shield is not defense, but sustained frequency. The higher your state, the stronger your vibration, and the more coherent your energy, the less penetrable it becomes. So, do you want to protect your field? Do this every morning before going out into the world. Visualize your energy as a luminous circle, a sphere surrounding you. Breathe deeply into it and declare, "Today I remain in my energy. Nothing that is not mine enters. Nothing that does not elevate me remains." You don't need anything else. You don't need mental shields or complicated rituals. You only need clear intention and sustained vibration. Remember, the energy field responds to the internal state. If you are in chaos, you are porous. If you are in coherence, you are living armor. And no, it's not coldness that you use to protect yourself. You're honoring your inner temple. Because if you don't take care of your energy, who will? The shaman isn't someone who helps everyone. He's someone who knows when, how, and where to do it, because he knows that if it goes out, nothing else shines. Choose carefully with whom you share your fire. Not everyone wants to warm themselves. Some just want to see if they can put it out. Protecting your energy is the highest form of self-love. It's not closing your heart, it's closing the gap. And when you learn to do so, your light no longer dims. It becomes sharper, stronger, and becomes a beacon, not for everyone, but for those who are ready to see it without trying to possess it. In the next chapter, you'll learn to stop interfering with what flows through you, because it's not just about protecting your energy, but about allowing the source to flow through you unchecked, fearlessly, and undistorted. You didn't come to create from within yourself. You came to let creation happen through you. For a long time, I believed that power lay in control. Controlling my thoughts, my emotions, my energy, my outcome, my reality. And the more I tried to control everything, the more tired I felt, more disconnected, more frustrated, until one day I gave up, but not in defeat. I surrendered as a channel. That was the most difficult and liberating lesson. I am not the source. I am merely the channel. And when I understood this, everything changed. It was during a deep meditation in a forest where I used to retreat. I was trying to activate my energy, visualize correctly, raise my frequency, but nothing was flowing until, exhausted, I collapsed on the ground and said softly, "I don't know what to do. I don't want to do anything, I'm just here." And then it happened. Not a vision, not a message, not an answer. It was a presence. A gentle, powerful current began to flow through me, as if something or someone had been waiting for that empty space to flow freely. And I had a profound understanding. As long as you're full of yourself, the source cannot flow because there is no space, no channel, only interference. Since then, whenever I want to co-create, manifest, or heal, I do nothing. I simply become a channel, I become silent, I open up, I let it flow through me, and from there it happens. Grimoire spoke of a space of silence between thought and perception, like the entrance to the quantum field. Dispenza taught that when you disappear as a limited identity, the field contains you and acts through you. Neville Goddard hinted at this when he said, "Everything you see on the outside wasn't made by you, it was made by your inner state." But no one can activate that state unless they surrender, unless they empty themselves, unless they stop resisting being simply an open channel. And here's the paradox. The harder you try, the less it happens. The more you control, the less it flows. But when you let go, the energy organizes itself. Do you know why? Because the source knows more than you do. Because your soul has a deeper plan than your mind can imagine. And when you don't interfere, that plan activates like a river that finally stops being blocked, like a symphony finding its rhythm. From then on, I stopped trying to change things and began to align myself with the frequency that attracts them on its own. I don't heal anyone, energy does that. I don't manifest, vibration allows it. I don't guide, the field shows it when I'm present and when I live like this. There is no exhaustion, there is no anxiety, only certainty and expansion. Do you want to become a clear channel? Do this. Stop asking, "How do I get this?" And start asking, "How do I align myself with what is already flowing?" Every morning, close your eyes and repeat, "I don't need to control, I only need to allow." Breathe deeply and notice what emerges when you simply allow yourself. That is channeling, that is opening to the source. And if you want to know if you're succeeding, don't look for external results, look for internal signs. Do you feel light? Does your body relax for no reason? Is there a clarity that comes not from thought, but from the soul? Then you are stopping creating from the mind and starting to allow the source to flow through you. You are not the fire, you are the torch. You are not the sea, you are the wave. You are not the hole, but you are the crack through which everything expresses itself. Stop trying to be the source and start being the channel, and you will see how everything you desire will happen. Stop being a struggle and start happening effortlessly. In the next chapter, you will remember the fire that already lives inside you. Not the one that burns you, but what transforms you. That elevated emotional fire that transforms your energy into pure creation. There's more than just energy, there's a fire waiting to be directed, not to destroy, but to create. We all have it, that drive, that spark, that heat that sometimes presents itself as intense emotion, other times as accelerated intuition, and other times as an inexplicable urge to do something you can't yet explain. That's your inner fire. It doesn't come from the ego, it doesn't arise from thought, it comes first. It's older than your history. It's the original language of your living energy. I felt that fire for the first time the day I wanted to cry but couldn't. Everything was building up inside me. Sadness, anger, helplessness. But it didn't come out until I accidentally shouted to the sky, not with words, but with fire. And in that moment, it wasn't me. It was something else speaking through me. An electric current. An emotion unlike any other. It was as if every cell in my body was saying in unison, I am alive. From then on, I understood that heightened emotion isn't out of control. It's vibrational power, and that this fire shouldn't be repressed, it should be channeled. Do you know why you were taught to be afraid of feeling intensely? Because when you truly feel, your field ignites, and a lit field can't be manipulated. Bruce Lipton demonstrated that emotions change biochemistry. Joe Dispenza explained that heightened emotions open the quantum field, but you don't need to read his studies because you've already felt it. That moment of gratitude so strong you felt you could fly, that emotion at seeing something beautiful that made you tremble, that instant of connection so profound that for a few seconds everything made sense. That was your fire. And in those moments, your energy was so pure that reality obeyed. You're not broken, you're not weak. You're simply disconnected from your fire. Because they told you it was dangerous, that you were too emotional, too intense, too sensitive. But sensitivity isn't fragility, it's profound perception. And intensity is power without a channel. Do you know what happens when you light your fire and direct it with awareness? Your intuition sharpens, your speech becomes creative, your field clears naturally, your body becomes coherent, your decisions become firm, aligned, and accurate. The inner fire is the bridge between emotion and the purest vibration of your soul. Don't extinguish it, don't distract it, don't numb it with screens, pleasures, or conformity. Feel strongly, truly feel, and then channel. Do this. Close your eyes, remember a moment when you felt something profound. It could be love, it could be gratitude, it could be pure pain. Feel that fire igniting in your chest. Breathe into it, and when it's alive, declare something. Whatever you want to manifest, do it not from the mind, but from the fire, and then let it go. The field has already received it. Want to heal faster? Light your fire. Want to create with clarity? Light your fire. Want to protect your energy? Light your fire. Not with anger, not with chaos, but with awareness. The sorcerer is not one who contains himself, but one who expands without losing himself, and for that he needs fire. Fire that illuminates, fire that guides, fire that transforms but does not consume. That fire is already within you, it has always been there, and today you are ready to guide it. In the next chapter, the closure, the final revelation, will come. No longer as an apprentice, but as someone who fully remembers who he is. For the sorcerer is not the one who learns magic, but the one who remembers that he himself is magic. You didn't come to this book. This book came to you, not to teach you, but to remind you of what you have always been and can no longer deny. At first I thought this manuscript would remain hidden like so many others, sealed, forgotten, buried under the dust of disbelief. But something inside me insisted, not urgently, but with certainty. A certainty that came not from the mind, but from the field, from that silent space where everything has already happened and all that remains is the memory. And now I know why. Because you had to find it. You, with your doubts, with your wounds, with that sensitivity that was always called excess when in reality it was an antenna, with that strength that sometimes hides for fear of being too much, and with that fire that never completely died, even though they tried to stifle it. You are not here by chance. You are not feeling this for no reason. Your field asked for it, your soul remembered it, and your vibration attracted it. Because this is not a book, it is a mirror, and in it you have seen yourself. Maybe you cried, maybe you doubted, maybe you trembled, but something inside you said, I knew it. And that is awakening, not learning, but returning. The last sorcerer is Noti, it's you. Because the sorcerer is not the one who masters rituals, but the one who masters his own frequency. He is the one who walks the world without hiding his fire. He is the one who speaks little, but when he vibrates, he transforms. The world doesn't need more wise men who speak loudly. It needs more souls who vibrate clearly. And now that you've reached this point, you already know. Nothing can be the same again. The world hasn't changed. You have. You can no longer unsee what you now feel. This journey did not teach you. It revealed you. You have learned to hear your field before your thoughts. To let silence speak louder than noise. To protect your light not with walls, but with presence. You've tasted the sacred power of coherence, of intention, of surrender. And now you are no longer a seeker, you are a transmitter. No longer a learner, you are a pulse. You are not asking anymore, you are remembering. And if ever you feel lost again, do this. Place your hand upon your chest, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and whisper within, I am living frequency. I am a vessel. I am awakened fire. This is not the end of a book. It is the ignition of your real path. From now on, do not explain your light. Do not dim your fire. Do not ask to be seen. Be it. Let your breath be a right. Let your word be a command. Let your silence be the portal for others to feel their own signal. You are the last sorcerer. Not because you are the only one left, but because you are the next to remember what the world forgot. That everything is energy, and those who know this no longer try to dominate it. They simply resonate, and the universe responds. And now that you've come all the way through, something inside you has shifted. Irreversibly, profoundly, quietly. You cannot unsee what your inner eye has now beheld. Cannot unfeel the resonance that echoed beyond words. What you've just lived is not a lesson, but a remembrance. You listened beyond your mind, breathed beyond your body, and touched a frequency that was always yours. You've learned that sacred rituals require no tools, only presence. That true protection comes not from walls, but from the coherence of your own light. You've opened a space, let source flow through you, and in doing so, you remembered. You are a living field, a conscious flame, a current that no longer bends to form but radiates truth from within. Now you are ready, not to teach, but to embody. Not to explain, but to emit. Let your every breath be a signal, every movement a vibration, every silence a transmission. And if doubt ever returns, pause. Place your hand on your heart, close your eyes, and whisper without sound, I am rhythm. I am resonance. I am the light I was always searching for. This is not the end of a manuscript. It's the ignition of a legacy, and you are its pulse. If these words awakened a memory you had no name for, if something within you lit up with recognition, leave a like. It's not a reaction, but a declaration to the unseen. Comment the word soul flare, born now for those who carry light not to be seen, but to awaken. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, not to chase content, but to remain aligned with what's already true inside you. Thank you for crossing this threshold, for vibrating, for being. I wish you a path so silent and so luminous that every step you take becomes a spark in someone else's darkness. May you walk unveiled, unafraid, unbound. And we'll meet again, in the next book that speaks to your soul before it ever speaks to your ears.